This section will cover photoreceptors, structure, and function of the eye. So here we have the eye. It is a sagittal section on the inside of the eye, a left view. And what we're going to cover is anatomy of the eye, talk about the MCAT, and the types of questions you might expect as it pertains to the eye. The important thing to know is the terminology for the eye. So let's talk about terminology that you are less required to know when it comes to the MCAT. Here's our eye right here. And as far as the anterior chamber, the vitreous humor, the sclera, which is the white of the eye, and the choroid, these are terms that are less likely to show on the MCAT and you are less required to know. However, it's helpful to have as background information. Now, the terms that you do need to know include these listed here. And we're going to go through them. Now, I have a nonsensical mnemonic that I'll touch at the end of this discussion. And one of the questions that are very likely to show up on the MCAT include the path of light through the eye. So you're walking outside, you're moving around, and you might ask yourself, how am I able to see these things? Well, as light enters the eye, this is how one is able to see, because light enters and light will refract, and you're able to absorb objects. So let's get into the anatomy so we can understand the path of the light through the eye. So you have the iris, and the iris is the colored part of the eye, and it's responsible for pupil diameter. You have the lens, and the lens is a biconvex structure that focuses light onto the retina. The retina is back here. It's on the back of the eye. And the lens, coming back to the lens, helps to focus or bend light back to the part of the eye called the retina. The cornea, which is transparent and very difficult to see, but we'll zoom in a little bit. The cornea is an external clear layer, and it also helps bend light that comes into the eye. Now the pupil, which is this opening, is the black opening in the middle of the eye. And light goes through the pupil. Now the ciliary bodies, or the ciliary muscle, listed here, they help to shape the lens. And they're tiny muscles that help adjust focus. When people get older, sometimes these muscles weaken, and you therefore might have a family member who's older reading a text message at arm's length as opposed to close to their face. The ciliary muscles contract and relax and help to shape the lens. The fovea centralis, which is in the back of the eye, is a little divot that exists in the back of the eye. The majority of light focuses here. And the fovea centralis is useful for visual acuity. So just think, fovea centralis, focus, light. Fovea, focus. And something else that can help us with the fovea centralis, fovea is that photoreceptors, all the photoreceptors here in the fovea centralis are cone receptors. Next, we'll talk about the retina. The retina is here in this yellow structure. So the retina has photoreceptors, and they're sensitive to light. So far, what do we have? We have light traveling in a path into the eye. It'll go through the cornea, and it'll go through the pupil, which is that opening, the black opening in the middle of the eye. It'll go through the lens where it's bent. It'll hit the retina or the back of the eye. And remember, the majority of the light focuses on the fovea centralis, which helps for visual acuity. And then we have the retina, which has photoreceptors that are sensitive to light. Now, moving on, we have our optic disc, which is our blind spot. And the place on the retina, the optic disc, is where the optic nerve forms. And that's our blind spot. So one might ask, why do we have a blind spot? Well, there are no photoreceptors here, and thus no image detection can occur here. And remember, the retina has rods and cones. Now the optic nerve, these are a bundle of axons leaving the eye and going to the brain. And so we have our full picture. Can you see it? So, as promised, I'm going to give you a mnemonic to help you remember the path of the eye as the path of light traveling through the eye. So here we go. Circus people love raisin oat bread. Circus, cornea, people, pupil, love, lens, raisin, retina, oat, optic nerve, bread, brain. And remember, that is where the brain is where images get processed. I hope you've enjoyed the mnemonic, and I hope you found value in the possible questions you might get. Although the choroid and the anterior chamber and the vitreous humor and the sclera are important, they're less important than all of these structures here. These would be your high yield or high importance terms that you would need to memorize for the exam. Thank you.